You're at a Costco lot on a Saturday, watching a shiny new pickup back into the spot beside you. Chrome grille, fresh paint, blinding in the sun. A man in an HVAC uniform hops out, lunchbox on the seat, car seat in back. He drops the tailgate and loads one case of water and a pack of toilet paper. That's it. That's the whole job for the truck today. And it cost more than his parents' first house. I'm Root, and today we're tackling something the auto industry hates discussing. Who can actually afford a $50,000 truck in 2026? Not who the dealer approves, who can afford it without their finances quietly becoming a slow-rolling disaster. Let's start with something nobody admits out loud. $50,000 used to buy a genuinely nice truck. Now it barely covers a stripped-down base model, door panels and wheels included, nothing extra. Here are the real numbers we're working with today. The average transaction price for a new full-size pickup in 2026 sits around $66,000. That's the typical price someone is actually driving off the lot with. So when we say $50,000 truck, we're not picturing the loaded version with chrome steps, heated steering wheels, and panoramic sunroofs. We mean the bare-bones work truck. A base Ford F-150 XLT, the most popular trim, starts around $48,500. A Chevy Silverado LT runs about $47,900, and a Ram 1500 Bighorn comes in near $47,500. Add a few options, taxes, dealer fees, and whatever mystery charge they invent that week, and you've blown past $50,000 before even considering leather seats. So when I say $50,000 truck, picture the responsible, sensible choice, the one the salesperson calls the smart move, and it still runs $50,000. Meanwhile, the median U.S. household income is roughly $84,000 a year before taxes. That means the average household is being asked to spend about 60% of their entire pre-tax yearly income on one vehicle, a vehicle that will be worth roughly half that in 5 years. So here's truth number one, a $50,000 truck isn't the everyman's truck anymore. It's the entry point. The bottom rung on a ladder where the average rung costs $66,000, and the top rung, the flashy Raptor you see all over social media, costs $113,000. Trucks have quietly turned into luxury goods wearing a high-vis vest. They're marketed with blue-collar imagery but priced like Italian sports cars from 2 decades ago, and somehow nobody comments on it. We've just accepted that a half-ton pickup now costs the same as a 4-year college degree. So let's talk about how people are actually financing these things. Spoiler, it's not with cash. Picture walking into the dealership having decided on your $50,000 truck. The salesperson, 15 years in the business, could sell parkas in the desert, asks the magic question, what monthly payment are you comfortable with? Notice what he didn't ask. He didn't ask what truck you can afford. He didn't ask about the total price. He asked about the monthly number, because that's where the sleight of hand happens. Here's how the trick works. The average new auto loan in America now stretches almost 69 months, 5.5 years. But for trucks specifically, nearly 30% of new loans run 73 to 84 months, which is 6 to 7 years. And for buyers rolling negative equity from a previous truck into a new loan, 43% of those stretch the full 84 months, 7 years of payments on something losing 20% of its value the moment it leaves the lot. Let's run the actual numbers, because the numbers are the whole point. Say you buy that $50,000 truck with zero down, because, like most people, you don't have 10 grand sitting around. We'll be generous and say you land a 7% interest rate, roughly the current average. Stretch it across 84 months to keep the payment feeling manageable. Your monthly bill comes to $754.85. Sounds doable, under $800 a month, right? Here's the trick revealed. Over the full life of that loan, you'll pay about $63,470 total for a truck that cost $50,000. That's $13,470 in interest alone, basically the price of a brand new Honda Civic, handed over to the bank just for the privilege of spreading out payments. By the end of year one, your $50,000 truck is worth roughly $40,000. But your loan balance still sits around $45,700, meaning you're already $5,700 underwater on a truck you've owned for exactly 12 months. And that's not even the painful part yet, it's just the setup. The truck doesn't care that your transmission needs work. It doesn't care that you lost overtime hours this quarter. It just wants its $754.85 every single month for the next 7 years, whether you can swing it or not. Let's pause the math for a second and sit with one number. In the fourth quarter of 2025, 20.3% of all new vehicle purchases in America carried a monthly payment of $1,000 or more. 1 in 5 new car buyers is paying over $1,000 a month for their vehicle. That's not a car payment anymore, that's a second rent. That's roughly a third of a full-time median worker's take-home pay, just to get to and from a job. And here's the part that should genuinely rattle you. Walk through any new truck dealership lot in 2026, and you're looking at vehicles that will be driven home almost exclusively by the top 15% of American earners. The other 85% are at the used car lot down the road, financing a 2019 Silverado at 14% interest, because the new vehicle market has quietly stopped including them. The new car market has become an affluent product. If you're middle class, the system moved on without telling you. But trucks never got that memo. They're still marketed as the everyman's vehicle. They show up in every country song, every commercial about hardworking American values, every up at 5 a.m., being a real one type of ad. And yet the blue-collar workers those ads supposedly represent are increasingly the ones priced out of buying them. So who's actually buying? Some are genuine high earners who can absorb the cost easily. But most are middle-class folks stretching themselves into a financial situation they don't fully grasp yet, signing 84-month loans because the salesperson uttered the magic words, "You're approved." And being approved is not the same thing as being able to afford it. The bank's version of "you can afford this" includes years of ramen noodles and skipped dental visits. The bank doesn't care. It just wants its $754.85. And the salesperson? He's already moved on to the next guy in a logo polo shirt, chasing the same magic trick. Now let's talk about the part of truck ownership the dealership conveniently leaves off the sticker because the loan is just the opening act. Actually using the truck costs money in ways that would make a mortgage broker blush. Insurance on a new $50,000 truck runs about $185 a month just for the right to legally drive it. Fuel, a full-size pickup averages about 18 miles per gallon combined, and at 15,000 miles a year with gas at $4 a gallon in 2026, that's roughly $275 a month. Maintenance oil changes, the inevitable brake job adds another $90 monthly if you don't think too hard about it. Then there are tires. Truck tires aren't regular tires, a full set runs $800 to $1,600 installed, and you'll need a new set roughly every 50,000 miles, which sounds distant until you realize that's about 3 years away. Specialty tires for something like a Tremor or Trail Boss can run up to $3,000 a set. Registration and taxes add another $90 a month depending on your state. And then there's the quiet killer, depreciation. Your $50,000 truck loses about $10,000 in value during year 1 alone, and another $9,000 by year 5, value evaporating off the hood while you sleep. Add it all up, loan payment $755, insurance $185, fuel $275, maintenance and tires $90, registration $90. Total, about $1,400 a month, every month, for 7 years, to own this thing. Now let's see what that looks like in a real household, because numbers on a page are easy to brush off, numbers on a Tuesday are not. Meet the Alvarez family. Both parents work, combined income is $90,000 a year, which is above the median. They have 2 kids. Marcus works for a mid-size logistics company, and his wife Elena teaches elementary school. They rent a 3-bedroom house in a suburb where nearly every driveway has a pickup in it. Last year, Marcus bought the $50,000 truck 84-month loan, 0 down. The salesperson said he was approved. The payment is $755. Here's their Tuesday now. Marcus leaves for work at 6 a.m., driving the truck 38 miles each way, mostly highway, completely alone. The bed is empty, always empty. Elena drives the kids to school in their 2014 Honda CR-V, which has 140,000 miles and a check engine light that flickers on whenever it rains. After taxes, the Alvarez household takes home about $5,600 a month. Rent is $1,850. Childcare for the youngest is $1,200. Groceries run $800. Utilities are $350. The truck loan, insurance, and gas combined costs $1,400. That leaves them with exactly $0 before they've bought anything else they need. No new clothes for the kids, no dentist visits, no date nights, no savings, no retirement contributions. When the CRV's transmission finally fails next spring, and the repair goes on a credit card, because there's no emergency fund to draw from. Marcus, who genuinely believed he was being responsible by choosing the smart trim level, will spend the next 6.5 years paying $755 a month on a truck he mainly uses to carry his lunchbox to a desk job. The truck didn't wreck his finances, the math did. And nobody at the dealership ever walked him through it. Now, I can already hear the pushback, but Root, I actually need a truck, I tow things, haul equipment, my job requires it. And fair enough, if that's genuinely your situation, this isn't really aimed at you. If you use your truck for actual truck work, more power to you. But the usage data nationwide is honestly kind of funny. Strategic Vision has surveyed over 250,000 truck owners about how they actually use their vehicles, and here's what they found: 75% of truck owners tow once a year or less. Nearly 70% go off-road once a year or less. 35% put something in the bed once a year or less. Roughly 90% never used their truck for actual work. A separate Ford F-150 study found that 63% of owners rarely or never tow, 32% rarely or never haul anything, and 87% regularly use their truck mainly for shopping and errands. Translation: the average modern pickup is a tall, thirsty, expensive grocery getter. Statistically, it's a Costco vehicle. Take Derek, an office manager at a mid-size accounting firm. Derek bought his truck in 2022 because he sincerely thought he'd start camping. He bought a kayak that same year too. That kayak still sits in the garage, never having touched water, a $400 piece of garage decor at this point. Derek drives his truck 30 miles round trip to an office park. In 3 years, the bed has held exactly 3 things: a bag of mulch, a Christmas tree, and a couch he sold on Facebook Marketplace for $40. That couch didn't cover even 1 month of his truck payment. Derek is fine, by the way, he's not a cautionary tale, just the statistically average truck owner. Which brings us to the real point: we're paying around $66,000 on average for vehicles that mostly spend their lives hauling 2 bags of mulch from Home Depot once a year and sitting in an office parking lot. And we're paying that price because trucks have stopped being trucks, they've become identity. They're a 4-wheeled performance of the kind of person you want others to think you are: capable, rugged, outdoorsy, even if your actual life is a desk, a commute, and strong opinions about which gas station has the best coffee. And honestly, I get it, for a lot of people, the vehicle they drive is the biggest public statement they make about themselves. A truck says something. The problem is what it says now costs $1,400 a month. And if you can't actually afford to say that, the truck stops being an identity and starts being a problem. If you're still reading, you're probably someone who genuinely wants this information. Most people clicked away during the loan math, which honestly proves the entire point. The people who most need to see this number are usually the ones who already left. So here's your reward for sticking around, because if you take away one thing, let it be this. Say instead of the $50,000 truck, you bought a $20,000 used car, something like a 5-year-old Toyota Camry. Boring, reliable, the kind of car your dentist drives. The total monthly cost of that Camry, loan, insurance, gas, maintenance, everything, comes to about $700 a month, compared to $1,400 for the truck. That's a $700 difference every single month. Now imagine investing that $700 difference every month into a basic index fund, nothing exotic, just an SP 500 fund, which historically averages around 8% annual returns over the long run. Invest $700 a month for 30 years, and you'd end up with approximately $1.04 million. $1 million. That's a real retirement. That's the gap between retiring at 65 versus 75. That's the gap between leaving your kids something versus leaving them nothing. That's the difference between dying with options and dying with debt, all because in your 30s, you chose the truck. I'm not saying don't buy a truck. I'm saying know what it actually costs. The $50,000 sticker price is the smallest number in this whole equation. 7 years of interest is the next smallest. The real cost is the compounding opportunity cost of every dollar that went toward that truck instead of somewhere else, and nobody mentions that, because no one earns a commission when you walk out of a dealership and put your money into an index fund instead. Nobody at a brokerage firm is buying a yacht because you opened a retirement account. The entire financial system gently nudges you toward the truck, because the truck is profitable for everyone except you. The dealer takes the margin. The bank collects the interest. The insurance company gets the premiums. The gas station gets the fill-ups. The manufacturer gets the markup. The only person in that whole chain losing money is you, and you usually don't find out until 12 years later, when you check your retirement account, compare it to a friend's, and quietly wonder what they figured out that you didn't. So let's finally answer the question from the title: who can actually afford a $50,000 truck in 2026? Under traditional financial guidance, the April 2010 rule, meaning 20% down, a loan no longer than 4 years, and total transportation costs under 10% of gross income, here's the answer. You'd need to earn roughly $150,000 a year. You'd need $10,000 cash for a down payment. You'd need to comfortably handle a monthly payment closer to $950 on a 4-year loan, not the $755 stretched across 7 years that the salesperson is steering you toward. So who actually fits that profile? Roughly the top 15% of American household earners, not the ultra-wealthy, but solidly upper-middle-class to wealthy households, dual-income professionals with stable, high-paying jobs and minimal debt. And even those households, statistically, aren't the ones buying these trucks most aggressively. The people buying the most trucks are middle-class households earning $60,000 to $100,000 a year, families like the Alvarezes and people like Derek. They're doing it by stretching loan terms, putting nothing down, and quietly accepting that nearly 30% of their take-home pay will go toward this truck for the next 7 years. They're doing it because the dealership said they could. They're doing it because their cousin did it. They're doing it because the commercials made it look completely normal. And they're doing it because nobody in their life has sat them down and walked them through this math until now. If this video accomplishes anything, I hope it's making just one person pause before signing that paperwork. Pause and run the real numbers, not the monthly payment, but the total cost over 7 years, including the opportunity cost, because the gap between affording a truck and being trapped by one comes down to a single honest calculation that nobody at the dealership wants you to make. Here's what I'd ask you to do: before buying any vehicle in 2026, spend 30 minutes adding up the loan, insurance, fuel, maintenance, tires, registration, and depreciation. Compare that total to your take-home pay, and ask yourself one honest question: can I really afford this, or have I just been told that I can? Because there's a massive gap between being approved and being able to afford something. The bank's risk tolerance and your actual financial stability are not the same calculation, and in 2026, with trucks priced like luxury goods and loans stretched out like prison sentences, that gap is wider than it's ever been. Here's the truth: the auto industry isn't really in the business of selling transportation anymore. It's selling identity, packaged as transportation, financed over 7 years at 7% interest. Every commercial, every showroom, every payment-focused sales pitch is designed to keep you from doing the math you just walked through with me. If you genuinely need a truck, if you tow regularly, haul for work, run a business out of the bed, or live somewhere four-wheel drive is the actual difference between getting to your job and not getting there, then buy it with full awareness of the real cost. But if that's not you, the boldest financial move you can make in 2026 isn't buying the truck. It's looking at the math, looking at the salesperson, looking at the chrome, and saying, "No thanks, I'll keep my retirement instead."